You have been reading the wrong signals your entire life, and the ones that matter most, she has already been sending them. Most men spend years chasing the obvious. The smile, the laugh, the text back within minutes. They wait for something loud and unmistakable, a neon sign that says she is interested. But that is not how women communicate what they feel at the deepest level. The real signals, the ones that mean something permanent is forming inside her, are quiet, almost invisible, and most men walk right past them every single day of their lives. This was never your fault. No one taught you to read this language. You were raised in a world that told you attraction was simple. Either she likes you or she doesn't. Either she says yes or she says no. But human connection does not work that way, especially not for women, especially not at the level that matters. The level that goes beyond interest and into something she cannot easily walk away from. Stay until the fifth signal I described today, that one most men never recognize even when it is happening directly in front of them, and once you understand it, you will never unsee it. If this kind of knowledge is something you want more of, tap like right now because this channel exists for one reason, to show you what is really happening beneath the surface of every interaction you have with a woman. Research in attachment psychology and interpersonal neuroscience tells us something remarkable. Women do not consciously decide to feel deeply connected to a man. That decision happens below awareness in the body, in the nervous system. Researchers studying pair bonding found that a woman's sense of emotional safety with a man is established not through grand gestures or declarations, but through accumulated micro-moments, small repeated experiences of being truly seen and not judged for it. Her emotional brain is constantly scanning, not for perfection, for something much more specific. And what she finds in those scans determines everything. Most men live their whole lives never understanding this. They wonder why the connection never deepens past a certain point, why she seems warm but cautious, why things feel like they are almost there but never quite arrive. The men who understand what I am about to share with you stop wondering. They become the experience she keeps returning to. Not because they perform something, but because they finally understood what she was already telling them. And let me say this clearly, because it matters. This is about understanding and respect, not control or manipulation. What you are about to learn is not a tool for taking something from someone. It is a lens for truly seeing another human being. Those are completely different things. The first signal is what I call the stillness offer. Dr. Sue Johnson, the founder of emotionally focused therapy, spent decades studying what happens in the body when someone feels genuinely safe with another person. What she found is that emotional safety does not look like happiness or excitement. It looks like stillness. When a woman feels deeply comfortable with a man, her physical body slows down. Her movements become less guarded. Her breath deepens. Her shoulders drop. She stops performing. And here is what most men completely miss. She will begin to offer you her stillness. She will choose to be quiet around you without feeling the need to fill that quiet with noise. Think about what that means. Every person carries a certain level of social armor through their day. The practiced laugh, the careful answer, the managed presentation of self. When a woman lets that armor down in your presence, when she allows silence to exist between you without scrambling to end it, she is telling you something her words may never say directly. She is telling you that being near you does not cost her anything, that she does not have to work when she is with you, that her nervous system has made a decision about you. It is not about what you said. It is about how her body responds to your presence over time. Imagine this. You are sitting with her somewhere simple, a bench outside, a kitchen, the kind of setting with no performance pressure, and she just goes quiet, not uncomfortably, not awkwardly. She looks out at something. She breathes. She does not rush to entertain you or explain the silence. That moment, that offering of shared quiet, communicates something most men never receive and never recognize when they do. It says, I do not need to hide from you. I am here fully without effort. When a woman offers you her stillness, she is not being boring. She is being real. And that is far rarer and far more significant than anything she could perform for you. The second signal is what psychologists call proximal anchoring, and I call it the gravity shift. Research on interpersonal distance, pioneered by anthropologist Edward Hall, and later refined in studies on social bonding, shows that humans unconsciously regulate physical space based on perceived emotional safety. We allow close proximity only to those our nervous system has categorized as safe. And what is remarkable is that this adjustment happens without the person being aware of it. She is not deciding to move closer to you. Her body is making that decision based on weeks or months of accumulated micro-experiences with you. The signal is this. She begins to find reasons to be near you that have nothing to do with the conversation. She sits closer than she needs to. She stays in the room you are in, even when there is no practical reason to. She angles herself toward you in group settings without realizing she is doing it. Her body has begun treating your presence as a gravitational point. And gravity, as we know, does not lie. This is not about physical attraction alone. This is the nervous system voting. This is her emotional brain having made a quiet, irreversible assessment of you as someone who makes the world feel safer. Here is what most men do wrong at this moment. They notice the proximity and they either panic and create distance or they become self-conscious and the natural ease of the moment collapses. The right response is to simply continue being exactly what caused the shift in the first place. Stay grounded, stay present, stay warm without reaching. The gravity does not need your help. It needs you to not interfere with it. Imagine this. You are in a group of people. There is noise, conversation moving in all directions. And she keeps finding her way back to where you are standing. She does not announce it. She does not explain it. She simply drifts. And every time there is a new moment of laughter or discomfort or anything worth responding to, her eyes find you first before anyone else in the room. You are her reference point. That is not casual. That is not coincidence. That is the gravity shift in full effect. This communicates on her end. You are the person this room makes sense through. You are the one I orient toward when the world feels uncertain. That is a depth of trust that words take years to build and the body can establish in weeks. The third signal is the unguarded edit. Now we need to talk about something that is easy to dismiss if you do not know what you are looking at. Most people in most interactions edit themselves constantly. They choose which version of a thought to share. They soften opinions. They leave out the strange observation, the embarrassing memory, the opinion they are not sure is acceptable. This editing is exhausting, and it never fully stops, except with certain people. With certain people, the filter loosens. When a woman begins showing you her unguarded edits, the half-finished thought, the contradictory opinion she laughs at before fully explaining, the memory that does not cast her in a flattering light, the fear she usually keeps quiet, she is not being careless. She is making a decision about you. Her internal editor has assessed you and concluded that you can be trusted with the raw version. Dr. Beanie Brown's research on vulnerability and connection found that genuine intimacy is built not on sharing our best selves, but on being witnessed in our real selves and not being abandoned for it. The woman who tells you something she has never told anyone is not being dramatic. She is conducting a test she may not even be conscious of. She is watching to see what you do with something fragile. And if you receive it without flinching, without judgment, without turning it into a joke or a lesson, something shifts permanently in how she experiences being near you. A word of caution here. This signal is also where many men make a critical mistake. When a woman shares something unguarded, the instinct is to immediately share something equally vulnerable in return, as if to prove the feeling is mutual. But this can feel like redirection, like you made her moment about you. What she needs in that instant is to be fully received, not matched, not topped, just heard, without your discomfort showing, without the moment being hurried past. Imagine this. You are talking late into the evening. The conversation has moved past the usual topics, and she tells you something she prefaces with the words, "I have never actually said this out loud before." She is not performing. She is not trying to create drama. She is handing you something she has been carrying alone. The way you receive that, the stillness you bring to it, the space you hold without filling it immediately, that becomes a memory she will return to long after the evening ends. None of this works without genuine care for the person in front of you. If you are collecting signals as a strategy, she will feel it. Women have evolved sensitivity to exactly this kind of performance. What makes these signals meaningful is that they only emerge in the presence of someone who is genuinely interested in her as a human being, not what she can provide, not how she makes you feel, her specifically fully. And this next part is something most people in this space will not say publicly. The fourth signal is what I call the future mention. This one is subtle enough that most men hear it and file it under small talk, but it is not small talk. It is one of the clearest indicators that a woman's mind has already begun placing you in her future. She mentions something coming up in her life and includes you in it without being asked. Not a formal invitation, not a planned date, something offhand. Something like, "There is a market I go to on Sundays. You would probably like it." Or, when it gets warmer, you should see this place I know. Or simply, we should do this again sometime. Spoken not as a social formality, but as a quiet, genuine desire. Psychologists who study future projection and bonding note that the act of mentally placing someone in your future is not casual. It requires that your unconscious mind has already resolved a number of questions about that person. Questions about safety, questions about compatibility, questions about whether this presence is worth continuing to seek out. Future mentions are the verbal evidence of a decision the emotional brain has already made. A woman in her 50s once told me something I have never forgotten. She was describing a man she had met at a dinner gathering. She said, "I knew something was different about him because I kept catching myself thinking about things I wanted to show him, places, music, things I had read." She said, "I was not planning anything. My mind was just doing it on its own." That involuntary imagination, that spontaneous inclusion of someone in your mental landscape, is one of the truest signals that something deeper has taken root. When you hear a future mention, receive it simply. Do not overreact. Do not immediately lock in plans or declare mutual interest. Just meet it with warmth and curiosity. Let the moment be what it is. Your groundedness in that instant will only deepen what she is already feeling. The fifth signal is the one I promised you, and it is the most powerful of everything I will share today. I call it the return without reason. Most interactions have a logic to them. People come together because there is something to do, something to discuss, a plan to execute. When the reason ends, the interaction ends. This is how most human contact works. But there is a category of contact that operates differently. Contact that has no external justification. Contact that happens simply because someone wants to be near you. She texts you something that does not require a response. She finds a reason to continue a conversation that had a natural ending point. She comes back to a topic you discussed days ago, not because it was unresolved, but because it gave her a reason to reach out. She shows up somewhere she did not need to be. In the orbit of your day, without an agenda she will name. These returns without reason are among the most unambiguous signals in human social behavior, because they require something. They require her to initiate. They require her to risk the small vulnerability of reaching without a guaranteed response. And people only take that risk when something inside them has already decided that the risk is worth it. Neuroscientist Dr. Helen Fisher, through her research on romantic attachment, identified that the brain of a person in the early stages of deep emotional connection shows activity in the same reward, pathways activated by fundamental human drives. Not fleeting interest, not physical attraction alone, something that operates at the level of need. When a woman keeps finding her way back to you without a clear reason, her nervous system is already telling her something. She may not have the language for it yet, but the return itself is the language. What most men do wrong here is misread the casualness of the return as evidence that it does not mean much. She sent a meme. She mentioned a song. It felt light, but the lightness is the point. She is not going to announce what she is feeling before she fully understands it herself. She is going to find low-stakes ways to keep the connection alive while she finds her footing. Your job is to be present and warm when those small returns arrive. Not to push for something bigger, not to name what is happening before she is ready, simply to be the kind of presence worth returning to. Imagine this. Days have passed since you last spoke. No particular reason to reach out. And then late in the afternoon, a message arrives. Something small. A photo of something that reminded her of a conversation you had, or a question she says she has been wondering about since the last time you talked. She does not say much more than that. But she sent it. She thought of you. And she chose to tell you that she was thinking of you, even wrapped in something casual. That choice, that small deliberate act is her telling you more than she has put into words. If your intention is not honest, none of this will work. Women sense the difference between a man who is genuinely present and a man who has learned to perform presence. What you have learned today is not a set of techniques. It is a way of paying attention, real attention, the kind that notices what is actually happening rather than waiting for something to happen. Let me bring this home. What we have talked about today is not really about attraction in the way the world usually defines it. It is about recognition. The deepest thing a human being wants is to be truly seen by another person, not the managed version, not the accomplished version, the real version. And when a woman begins giving you these signals, the stillness, the gravity shift, the unguarded edit, the future mention, the return without reason, she is not simply telling you she is interested. She is telling you that something in her recognizes something in you. That your presence creates a specific kind of safety she does not find everywhere. That whatever you have been doing, whatever you have been bringing into the space between you is working. Not because it was designed to, but because it was real. Most men will never learn to read these signals. They will wait for something louder, something more obvious, and they will miss some of the most significant moments of their lives because they were looking the wrong direction. But you are here. You have stayed through every signal. You have done what most men will not do, which is slow down long enough to actually understand. That says something about you. You are becoming the kind of man who notices, and the man who notices is almost always the man she cannot stop thinking about. If this opens something in you today, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. Every video on this channel goes one level deeper into what is actually happening between men and women at the level that matters. And comment the word signal below if today's video connected with something real in your life. I read those and I want to know what is coming next goes even further into this territory. There is a specific moment in every growing connection that either locks something in permanently or loses it forever. Most men never know that moment is happening until it has already passed. That is what we are covering next.